Welcome to Backstage with Becca B, with special guest Elena Ricardo. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On this episode, she was part of the cast for the world premiere of Bring It On the musical. She then toured the country as part of the Mamma Mia ensemble, went from the tour production of Mamma Mia to the Broadway production where she made her Broadway debut, moved on to the lead role of Sophie Sheridan, and most recently could be seen in Beautiful, the Carole King Musical, understudying the role of Carole King herself. Please welcome Elena Ricardo. How have you been during this crazy time?
I kind of feel like I'm probably like a lot of people where some days it's really good and you're like, okay, I don't have any obligations really. And then there are some days where you're like, I am a useless piece of crap. Like, I don't have anything to do. I am useless. Like, it really fluctuates. I don't know if you've had that same experience of just like,
For sure. It's been tough. It's been a challenge to have really not a lot to do.
yeah. I feel like the stakes have gotten a little lower, like now after the election and everything, and now that just some things are more solidified for next year, it's like a little bit easier to breathe, but there's still so much that needs to be done and needs to be fixed and needs to be figured out job-wise and health insurance-wise. Like, it definitely, there are days where it just kind of weighs a little heavier than others, but I'm excited today. I got to do this.
Yes, I'm excited to have you on. But yeah, no, I totally get it. Job-wise and stuff, it's so hard right now to find something because I feel like a lot of people, even out of the entertainment industry, my problem is a lot of people aren't training right now.
Yeah, I mean, but this is also what we've trained to do. Like, a lot of us are qualified for very few jobs. I mean, for me, I don't have a college degree, so I can't really teach at a school. I can't, I have to go about things a little bit more independently, which is what artists usually do. We
Yeah.
babysit, we do things that our natural talents and the talents that we've already paid to learn serve us with, but those are just, we're all fighting for the jobs. It's just like when theater's running, but now we're fighting for non-theater jobs that we don't
Right.
do.
Or trying to do virtual stuff and plan virtual stuff.
Lots of virtual.
We love it.
It works.
How long have you known that you wanted to be in theater and have a career in theater?
I wasn't one of those people that like came into the world being like, I have to do this. Like, I actually was a gymnast for a long time, and I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast. And I, at the age of 15, was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do this. So it wasn't until I was like, yeah, 16, 17 that I even figured out that this was what I really wanted to do. And then it was so cliche. I saw Wicked and I was like, oh my God, I have to do musical theater. And that was my moment where I was like, yep, I'm going all in. And I did. I left school and just kind of did it the old-fashioned way, the way my parents did it, who were also Broadway performers.
Aw.
So thank God. I mean, how many parents support their child dropping out of college? Not many.
Yeah, and
But they were like, it's good. It's fine. Go back
Yeah.
another time. So
Did they give you tips to succeed in the industry? Because it's so challenging. So
they certainly, I mean, the industry had changed so much from the 70s and 80s, which is when they were doing it. So they definitely were like, you need an agent. You should get your equity card soon. You should, the basic things. And they just offered their love and support, which is the best thing that any parent could give to anybody trying to pursue this field. And their tips were just like, just hang in there, be patient, work hard, just do the hard work, because in the end, you're going to be a lot more satisfied with that than you might be with what jobs you're getting. So thank God for them. I really don't know if I'd like have made it in this industry, made it, whatever that means, without them.
I mean, it's so tough. You have to be like, you have to kind of prepare yourself for a lot of the no's that go along with the yeses.
So many. Are you an actor? Like, do you want to do this or you just love Broadway?
I just love Broadway and I want to work more behind the scenes. As a child, I did theater and
Mhm.
then I kind of got more into behind the scenes and entertainment.
Like, you want to do more like maybe casting or management, or do you want to do like crew?
Like PR and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, you're already making the connections.
I love like social media. That's my strong point.
Okay, literally, I will hire you for sure.
Yes, I'm down. I'm down.
Hired.
I'm so down. What level of gymnastics did you go to? I'm curious because my sister was a gymnast at OU.
Really? Oh my God, she's like amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a gym dog really bad. I wanted to go to UGA. Um, I went up to 9. Uh,
Okay.
and then, so it was like a
Talented.
little bit below where collegiate
Yeah.
is. And usually you do a couple years in 10. So I dropped out before any of that. But man, that is a tough, I mean, it is, you sacrifice a lot. It's a very short lifespan. And I was just watching my teammates just like go down and get serious injuries. I walked out with some scratches and some sprained ankles, and God, thank God, because I had teammates breaking their backs and parts of their neck and ACLs and MCLs, and I was just like, yep, 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 I'm out. I'm out.
Like it's too much. It's too much.
You're like a daredevil when you're younger, but then you get to this age, and I guess it was 15 for me, where I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. And yeah, not my thing anymore. But I do miss it. I have dreams about going back to it all the time.
Do
Not
you,
gonna happen.
I mean, has it helped you with any audition specifically? Because you've done Bring It On. So
That honestly, what a like crazy experience to have been a competitive gymnast and then to have a show like that come around where I walked into that audition, and not to toot my own horn, but like I could do all of it. I could sing it, I could dance it, and I could tumble. And I remember being in the auditions and having them be like, "Who are you?" Like, how random for a performer to also know how to tumble, but also be able to understudy a principal part. Like, it was I'd like to think I was like an MVP, because especially when we were starting out with that show, they weren't sure. They just needed everybody to do everything. So the dancers were learning how to tumble. I had to learn how to tumble again. I mean, I was 20, which isn't that old, but 5 years out of gymnastics, it's ancient. You're like, it hurts. So everyone had to learn how to do stuff. And I think once it went on tour, I didn't do tour Broadway, but they
yeah.
eventually kind of had the cheerleaders do the cheerleading stuff, and the dancers kind of did more of that stuff, and the principals did not tumble, did not really stunt. It was very like, let's just keep everyone in their lane, I think, from what I saw. But that came in super handy, and every once in a while, like, I'll go in for a dance call and
And
they're like, count of 8 to do whatever you want. And I'm not really a dancer, so I'll just do a back handspring. Or like,
why not?
and it hurts the next day, but I do it because that's what you do. And there was one audition I totally blew the dance part, but then at the end they were like, does anyone have any like tumbling or extra special skills? And all the girls were raising their hands being like, me, and they like did a cartwheel or like a back walkover, and I was like, let me. And I threw something that I had not thrown in a very long time. So that is a part of me, my little unicorn skill, that maybe it won't get me jobs anymore because I'm kind of out of those styles of shows now. But man, it's been useful. And I'm trying to keep it up as much as I can.
And you probably had the technique too, which they loved because it's so hard to have, like, some people can just throw things.
Yeah. There's a difference to a gymnast tumbling versus, oh, this is going to sound terrible, a a cheerleader tumbling, they've learned just a different way than gymnasts have. And I'm not gonna lie though, when I returned to tumbling in that show on a hard surface in cheer shoes, I don't know what technique there was, but I was having to throw it a couple times, just being like, I don't know if I have this in me. But we were all struggling together. That was such a physically demanding show. All of us were dying.
And it was the world premiere of that show that you did.
In my hometown.
Wow. Okay. So how did it happen besides you going into the audition and obviously having the skills? How did you get the audition and find out about it?
As soon as I found out that that show was happening, in my brain it was like, you have to be in this. So I saw the open calls were in New York. At that time, I was in my first and only year at Emerson College.
Good college.
And I was, yeah, it's grade school. And I just was like, I'm going to go to the open call. I'm probably not ready. My instructors or my teachers were kind of like, you're still learning. I don't know if you're ready for those yet. And I was like, no, this is my show. And, I got invited to an invited dancer call because I had randomly met an agent that weekend who pushed me through to these dancer calls. I didn't know what an invited call was. So I show up and everyone knows each other. And, hey, girl, what have you been up to? Oh, yeah, you've been touring. And I'm just like, no, I'm in sweatpants. Everyone's in sheer skirts and just like hot. And I thought it was a hip hop audition. Like it's Andy Blankenbuehler. It's Bring It On. It's going to be hip hop. Yeah. And so they have us in this big room. It's right at the theater that they do Harry Potter at. They have this big rehearsal room with high ceilings because we were going to be stunting. And we do the 3 different hip hop combos, which I don't know. I had a little groove in me that day and I felt like I was turning it out. And then they wanted us to tumble. And then they want us to do some jumps. And then we sang, and I sang, this is like a pop peppy show. And I sang like Gravity from Sarah Bareilles, like very angsty, very, not really, but it worked. And then I had another callback a couple days later, and then they were having final callbacks in Atlanta, like months later. This was a whole summer of me just being like, did I get it yet? Did I get it? And finally, after like another round in Atlanta, I found out a couple months later, and I immediately let my school know that I was gone. I was like, I'm ready to just do this and once this is over, I'm ready to just go to the city and hit the pavement the way my parents did. And yeah, but that show, man, taught me so much. I had just written a paper about Andy Blankenbuehler.
Really?
That year, I was like, he's my favorite choreographer. I love In the Heights, la la la. And then I was getting to work with him a year later. Like, bye. Brain dead.
You manifested it when you wrote the paper that it was going to happen
I need to write more papers then. There's a lot of things I should be manifesting. I'm gonna start to do that. I'm gonna journal a little bit more now because you actually write.
You write papers about every dream role that you have.
Yep, pretty much. Gonna do that today.
First, write a paper about Broadway coming back.
Right.
And then
we missed it.
Maybe it'll come back tomorrow. Who knows?
I'm pretty strong with my manifesting, so we'll see.
We'll love that. We'll love that so much. So, How do you think Bring It On kind of like kickstarted your career besides like obviously building the confidence after you were involved in the world premiere of it?
Made me super hungry for sure. But it was also the first kind of chip on my shoulder that I got because they changed tracks around. At that time, I didn't know what a track was. And that's basically just like this role is ensemble and it has to understudy these parts. Yeah. And so that changed with the track that I was doing in Atlanta. And I suddenly just like didn't fit what they like to say is the puzzle. And it was devastating. And I don't talk about it a lot because I get embarrassed being like, hey, this was my dream show, but I actually wasn't asked to do the tour or Broadway. But honestly, I think it should be out there. Like, there are going to be shows that you are right for and that slip through your fingers, or that for whatever reason just don't pan out. And I took it very personally.
And,
And I was just devastated. And I'd actually let it affect my confidence a lot.
oh no.
But, well, just because it was my first success and my first not success, whatever that is. So it kickstarted just my understanding of this industry, in that there are just things that happen behind the scenes that us as actors are not in control of. And you can do your best work and you can be the most valuable person in that cast, but if you don't fit what they need you to do, especially ensemble, because we have to be fierce all the time in the background and as an understudy, and I just didn't fit one of the parts that they needed me to do. And so it kickstarted just growth. It certainly got me in the doors of great casting directors, and it led me to go in for Mamma Mia, which is what I ended up doing
Yeah.
instead. So Bring It On was touring right when I was touring with Mamma Mia. So the universe took care of me. It just was like, we're going to give you something else. And right when Bring It On went to Broadway was when I went to Broadway with Mamma Mia. So it was literally the universe being like, we got you, we got you. This just wasn't your show, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah. So loss in this business probably teaches you more than the success. You probably hear that from everybody. I mean, we don't talk about our shows that got away. We don't talk about the shows we didn't get, and we should.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, like, things, as you said, like, it led you to Mamma Mia, which you eventually got to play a lead in.
Kept me gainfully
Amazing.
employed for like 3 years. Yeah. It's so cliche to be like, everything happens for a reason, but that is proof of that getting to pay my dues in a company like that, Mamma Mia, they took care of me. They fostered me in from the ensemble, and I danced my little way on the rake stage and always auditioned for Sophie and never got it. And then one day I just did. I didn't even know. I just wanted to I didn't even understudy the part. I just wanted to understudy it. And then they were like, "You want to play it?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"I know. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going from like, I didn't understudy it. I didn't know." So there was a learning curve with that. But again, just what an incredible show to get to do. Did you ever get to see it? You're so young.
I wish. I don't, since I'm not in New York, it's hard. Like,
Right.
I'm in Texas right now, but I'm normally in Los Angeles. But I like traveling to New York. So
Okay.
every now and then I go
Okay.
to New York and like keep up with all the Broadway stuff.
You're keeping up with the new shows. Like, that's hard to. Mamma Mia wasn't, unless you were from like international, it wasn't like the show you came to New York to see. Well, at least I don't know. Maybe people would disagree with me.
Probably. I would assume that people came.
14 years, people came. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to get back into Mamma Mia, and I think I might be going backwards here. I'm not sure. But I saw you play Vinla in Spring Awakening.
I did. That is, to this day, like the best gig, the best summer, the least paying job I have ever had. I played Venla right after I got done with the premiere of Bring It On. So I pretty much finished that, and then went to Asbury Park, New Jersey. There was this they had this abandoned carousel house on the beach, and they made it into a theater with this new theater company called Revision Theater. And it was non-union. I was going to be paid like $100 a week. I had to do chores before every show. I did Xanadu as well that summer. So I did Xanadu right into Spring Awakening.
Whoa.
I didn't know better. I was just like, okay.
Okay, I'll do everything.
Sure. Like, I'm going to get naked on stage and I'm going to clean bird poop off the seats beforehand. but that I mean, I was 20 when I did that show, and that's usually like the sweet spot to do the age, because you just you're still close enough to that feeling and that kind of just passion and that rage, and you're just so angsty. Like, you're still just, even though you're not a teenager anymore, you're still very in touch with that. And I had the most talented cast. To this day, one of the most talented casts I've ever worked with. And we lived in a house together, and we did the show at night. Say that again?
That's so fun.
Yeah. And we just like raged and just had a blast. And I celebrated my 21st birthday there. So that was fun. And I had the best time, and I made nothing, but it was more fun than any of the highest paying jobs I've had so far.
And I was gonna say, the reason I brought it up was I feel like you would be really good in that role. And I feel like anyone who got to see you in that role was probably like, whoa.
There's somewhere deep out in the ethers of bootlegs, I'm sure there's something out there. I know there's recordings, but not it's just audio. But it's just kind of this thing imprinted in my brain. I don't think I have a video of it, and I'm gonna miss it. I think I'm past my Venla years. I think I'm a little old for Venla now. But unless they're doing an adult version of it. But yeah, and my I'm still best friends with my friend Noah, who played Moritz, and everyone in that cast has just gone on to do great things. So yeah, that was kind of and I was in that show when I found out I didn't get Bring It On, and I was so glad that I had a show like that I felt so good about what I was doing, that even though I was devastated I didn't get Bring It On, I was like, okay, I have the show. I have to focus on this. This is what my job is. And it just helped kind of at least distract me for a little bit and focus on what was important, which was the job at hand, not the job that passed. So.
Wait, were you equity yet when you got the world premiere of Bring It On?
I was non-union.
Whoa, that's impressive of itself.
It was a non-union, and I was also a local hire. So most of these regional contracts, they have to hire like
A couple.
one or two locals to like be fair to that regional company. And they were just like, wait a minute, so you can do all this stuff and you live in Atlanta?
Perfect.
So it was, yeah, I was making more than what I made with Spring Awakening, but it's still, I was living at home with my family. I was commuting. I didn't get to like be at the hotel with everybody, and me and Ariana DeBose actually were in it together, and we were both underage, so we couldn't go to like the clubs or the bars with people, so we would just like hang out with each other because we had no one else to.
Like underage parties.
Yeah, pretty much raging in the hotel room together, like just like drinking Coke.
Yeah. Ordering like ice cream or something.
Yeah, not having any idea that she was going to be like a massive star.
Yeah, right.
I knew, but like you never actually know, but she knew, and look at her, she's amazing.
Oh yeah, she's doing some big things.
Doing some good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Netflix coming up. So, how did the tour audition for Mamma Mia come about?
That you get, I had through an agent. So my agent a different agent than I had for Bring It On, came to see me do Spring Awakening and signed me from that. She's the agent that I'm actually still with right now. And she got me the appointment. It was for an ensemble part. And I was like, cool, whatever. Touring sounds great. You get paid how much? Great, cool. And so we had the dance call, which is for Mamma Mia, it's not like, it's just club dancing, but like 90s club dancing. So it was a lot of like, just feeling the groove. And we got to like, at the end of the dance, like dance our way off stage. And I obviously threw a tumbling pass because you gotta get the job. All right. Like I was so hungry and like ready to work. And so they I booked it through that, and you do Honey Honey. You go through Honey Honey a couple times with whoever they're looking at for Sophie and whoever they're looking at for the other part. Um, it just snuck up on me. The audition was in like early December, and I got an offer like right in mid January. So I thought it was gone. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then you get the call, and you're like,
Yeah.
I leave when?
Right. To go
They're
on
like, yeah,
tour.
can you leave like in a week? You're like, what? No, yes, but no.
Yeah. You're like, how do I pack that fast?
They're like, good luck. See you on the road. You're like, okay, all right,
You're
cool.
like, great, just gonna dump everything in my suitcase.
That's what happens. And then you hope that you can find a sublet. You hope that, everything can get taken care of. But that's what we do. We all just want to work and do what we love, that we will sacrifice our comfort, our space, our calmness to just get an opportunity. So it's cool.
What was your favorite dance number to do as an ensemble member in Mamma Mia?
Mm. In the ensemble, I loved Voulez-Vous. I mean, we got to that's one of the few numbers that we got to really dance. It was partnering work. And I don't know how, but I ended up with a pretty dancey track that was downstage and in the front. And you have to learn how to dance with lots of different people, because if somebody's on for Pepper and you're supposed to dance with Pepper or swing, I mean, that I was dancing with lots of different guys and learning how they move and how they move me. And I was like the danciest I've ever been. I had to wear this little like kind of crop top situation, which I was not thrilled about. And yeah, it's not my favorite thing in the world. But yeah, that was fun. And you get to just groove. And it's supposed to be this like voulez-vous. I mean, it's all about,
Yeah.
just getting into it. And I loved it. It was, and getting to wear the pants and sequins, and even on a rake stage, I loved that number.
Wait, okay, now can you explain a rake stage? Because Wicked has one, right?
I
Correct.
do. So a rake stage provides like a visual to the audience that's really like three-dimensional. It just looks cooler because everything is slightly elevated. So the stage, rather than being flat, is slightly pitched. So it just makes everything easier for the audience and a million times harder for everyone on the stage. Your center of balance is totally thrown off. Um, I sprained my ankle on a rake, and it's like, it's a worse kind of sprained ankle because I was going downhill. So it was just this like extra little twist that I took. But gymnastics injury is coming back.
Yeah.
And so everything needs to be done. Your body just naturally will start to shift. And then when you go back to an audition and you have to do a double turn, you're like, like you have no idea where your center is. So it's a cool thing. I hope theaters don't do it anymore. It really causes long-term problems for dancers, and it's just so it makes 8 shows a week that much harder. So God bless the Wicked people. Our rake was actually steeper than theirs, but now they officially have, I think, the only rake stage. I don't
I
know.
feel like when you hear rake stage, it's like you only hear Wicked people talk about it. So
Yeah, I
sounds
think they're the only ones right now. And again, like when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. But dancing on it 8 times
right.
a week, anything that's not flat, it's just like your body is like, bye, we're gonna hurt for a little while.
Yeah,
We did it
that's
though.
insane.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how did you? I mean, I'm sure again gymnastics came into play, but like, how did you build the stamina to be able to dance 8 times a week?
I think everyone comes in having stamina because we're in shape and we're running to auditions and we're doing dance calls, and most of us are going to the gym and taking care of ourselves. But anytime you get into a new show, your body has to adjust to that specific stamina. With Mamma Mia, there was a lot of sit and go, a lot of just like having to just be stagnant and then full out. With a show like Hamilton, it's pretty constant. It's like an overall stamina that you have to have. So every show is a little bit different. And I was young, and again, I loved what I was doing. So I actually pushed probably too hard at the beginning. I went full out every night. And I remember my parents being like, Elena, you'll find eventually that there is a sweet spot where it looks 100% to everybody in the audience, but you are preserving yourself at like a 80, which is not to say that it's, again, it's not sitting back enough that it's killing the experience for anybody out there, but it can't be balls to the wall unless you're Robin Herder, and then she's balls to the wall all the time. Besides her. Yeah, I think, and I found that sweet spot where like I could push just hard enough that it looked awesome to the audience, but that I wasn't hurting myself. And
Yeah.
it's hard for an ensemble member to find.
Especially when you're young.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to give it. I wanted to be the center of focus
Yeah.
for everything. And that's not what the goal of the ensemble is. We're not supposed to be, not seen, but we also have to be a part of what the environment calls for. And I eventually learned that. I see it all the time when I go to a show and I can tell when someone's new and I can tell when someone's been there a while. And sometimes it's way more noticeable than others. Sometimes it's good and bad, but there's just an ease to somebody who's been in a show in the ensemble for a while, and they're still so cool to watch, regardless.
It's the adrenaline when you're new that.
Yeah, every show I was nervous for the first couple weeks, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is
You're like, this is normal.
Yeah, now it gets normal. It gets normal, but still exciting. I don't think I ever took for granted being in a show, especially now that to be unemployed for this long, I will never take for granted being in a show. Even if it's the crappiest show in the world and I'm a tree, I will appreciate it.
Like, give me the tree audition.
I am going to make that tree so grounded and believable.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Tony Award for the tree.
For the tree. I hope that becomes a thing, like an ensemble Tony Award. I know we've talked about it, but I don't think it's happening. I hope it happens. I don't know.
It should. I saw the prom in 2019, and I was.
Did you love it?
It was so good, and I was so upset that for the dances that they did, that they weren't getting recognized as an ensemble at the awards.
It's frustrating, but I hope we'll get there. We've made some good changes so far in our industry in terms of recognition and diversity, and hopefully they can start to just see how valuable ensembles are. We are the heartbeats of the show. So fingers crossed.
Yep, I agree. MVPs, the ensemble, and swings in the show.
MVEs, most valuable ensemble. But yeah, as long as it doesn't devalue other ensembles.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
So, what was your reaction when you got told that you were going to be Sophie on Broadway?
Oh, I wanted to vomit, actually. So I went in and it was me and like 3 other girls that they were looking at. And I knew that they were considering me for Sophie. And I obviously knew the team. I went into the room and these are all the people I go to work with every night, the choreographer and the director who I've worked with. And it was a lovely room and it felt good. And I left being like, I don't know what else I can do. I have done this audition so many times for these people and it just hasn't clicked. So I don't know what else I could have done differently. And so when I got the call that I got it, which was probably like a week or 2 later, again, they're not fast with these decisions. So I'm waiting. I'm showing up to work every night, looking at my musical director and like,
what are the
anything? You're not gonna tell me? Okay. All right. And I broke down. It was just this, everyone dreams about starring on Broadway. Everyone dreams about it. And then out of nowhere, it just happens. And you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is everything I wanted. And it was so special. I told my sister right away, I called my parents. But I was told I could not tell anyone at work. for a while. It was probably a good like 2 months, and it was awkward. And there was one time I was in the hair room getting my hair done for the ensemble, and the woman playing Donna at the time, Judy McLean, she walked by the room and she goes, just winked at me. And I was like, oh, someone knows. Like it just felt, we didn't talk about it. It was just like, great job.
Yeah.
It felt, I mean, that bonded us immediately. It felt so nice to just have somebody, because I knew somebody in the building must know. And what, can someone just give me a little like pat on the back or something, code? And that was her code to me. And it was hard to have to keep to myself. I really wanted to be able to celebrate it, but I understood the impact of how that could be weird for the girl currently playing Sophie, and it just, I respected what they asked, but when I could talk about it, oh my god, it was wild. I
Celebration.
will always remember that moment. I haven't thought about that in so long. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I'm Hey, I'm glad to hear about it because that's so special, and you were like so young at the time. I feel like so like
I I felt very young. I was in line at the post office. That's where I was. I was in line at the post office, like just like waiting in line, miserable. And I got the call, and I was just like, I think I like took my package. It was just like, yeah! I didn't even stand back in line. I just went home and was like, screw it. I don't need the post office.
like
Um,
how many
yeah, I
people get
was
to say?
24 maybe, which Sophie's usually fall in that age group. And I had only, Broadway was all I knew. I'd been working on Broadway since I was in my early 20s, and so this just felt unexpected, very unexpected, which is maybe what made it so much more special, because I wasn't like, if I'm not starring on Broadway, I am not going to be happy. I was happy where I
Yeah.
was. So this was just an extra little like, you want to try this out? It was hard. It was definitely hard.
Well, and still to this day, not many people can say like that they're making their Broadway debut at 24.
I made it earlier. I made my principal debut at 24, and then I think I was like 22 when I made my
Wow.
because I had put in a good, yeah, oh god, I don't even remember dates anymore. Dates.
What are
Yeah.
dates?
Yeah, what are dates?
Is it still April?
I Is it even, it's still 2020, definitely. Okay, definitely. But age is it's such an interesting thing in this industry. We measure, we want success to happen when you're young.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if I were to have achieved the same thing, but in my 30s or 40s, like it would be less than. And it's such an interesting culture that we have that celebrates youth and success, and not just success in general. So if I could like talk to my younger self, I'd be like, you're going to be fine, and stop measuring success by what everyone else is saying it is. What is your version of it? And that's hard to figure out when you're just in New York and you're like, la la la, I need to pay my rent and everything's exciting. I want to star on Broadway. And you're just like, chill, you're going to be all right. And you're going to at some point, and it doesn't matter what age you do it.
I love that you said that because like yes, it's cool
Yeah.
to be like freshly in your 20s and like be doing big stuff, but like also whether you're making it at, at age 20 or like age
Yeah.
30, 40,
Or
whatever.
whether you're like on Broadway or not. Like one of the most talented performers I know, he's in his 50s and he has not been on Broadway yet, but I would go to him for coachings. I trust him. I love working with him. And it's just like, I don't think of him any less than I think of my Broadway people. And honestly, he's more talented than some of them. So we have to stop like making Broadway and being young and starring on Broadway like the end all be all, because there are so many other ways to be a successful working actor. Yeah, and I hope we can like all, with these kinds of interviews and with like just in the future, we can like let kids coming into this industry know like there is no rush. there are enough jobs, there are enough opportunities. Like, and if you don't star in Mean Girls, you could star in something else
Yeah.
20 years from now, and it's going to be equally cool.
No timeline.
Right. No timeline.
So, what was your debut as Sophie like? Do you
If I
remember
can
the day?
remember it, what a blur. I only let my sister and my roommate come because I'm one of those people where, like, I know my first show is not going to be great. It's probably
I
going to be a wreck.
forgot.
I didn't want anybody there. So my friends were so mad at me that I wouldn't let them come. But I was like, do not be there. I will not talk to you. I just need, and I had my put in that day. So I was tired. It was just a blur. I just hit my marks. I don't know if I acted at all. I really just was like, make sure you're like off the jetty for this part. Make sure you come in at this line. Like, it was very formulaic and not exactly like Stanislavski acting. It was not that you really do that in Mamma Mia anyway, but um, I felt crazy. But when I took my bow and I knew it was done, and I was doing the mega mix, which is, the same
Yeah.
choreography I had been doing in the ensemble, that's when it was like, oh my God, I did it. And it started to become fun probably like a month later. It feels scary the first month. You feel like everyone's watching you. You're getting a lot of notes because creative teams are here to see the new principal and they want to see what you're doing, and they're constantly just like, even when you think you gave like a killer performance, they're like, that was great, but or like, and you're like,
Okay.
okay. So it was a wild ride. I ended up doing it for a year and a half. And again, it took like a couple months for it to feel like my own and to feel good. And that's the price that comes with playing a part like that and being a not so perfectionist like I am. Like, it's a battle with yourself. Like, nobody else is judging me as hard as I was judging myself. So
Yep.
that was fun to learn.
I I was gonna say performers are the toughest on themselves.
They
It's
have
like
to be.
the audience members are watching, like a performer could come up after the show and be like, "Oh, I messed up on like this 1 second of this song," and the audience member will be like, "What? When?"
Yeah. But that's the scary part about having performing parents, because I feel like when I would mess up, if they were there, like, they'd know, but they'd never say it. They'd be like, "Oh, it wasn't a big deal," and you're like, "So
Yeah.
you did notice it?" And they're like, "No, no, 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 no." Like, they have pitch, like they can tell if I was off or if I missed a note, or yeah. So that was always scary when they would come. I would freak out, so scared.
So, Mamma Mia has such an iconic soundtrack. What was your favorite song to sing as Sophie?
Sophie. Oh my God, what was my favorite song to sing? I think I Have a Dream. Both the beginning and the end one sets up the show, and it wasn't super hard to sing, so I could just like be in the moment and not have to be like, am I gonna hit this note? Um, it sat in a good spot for me. So getting to have that curtain come up and be there, and there's the like moving water lights, and it's just like the synth playing, and it's a spotlight on me. I very much every night felt that feeling of like, wow. Like, wow. Even when we moved from the Winter Garden, I actually didn't do Sophie at the Winter Garden. I did at the Broadhurst. So it's a much smaller space, but it still just felt massive, and it felt so special. And all the other songs are kind of like put in there. And
Yeah.
Sophie does a lot of uh, just running around and singing bits of songs, but that was like my song. And I loved getting to just feel the audience be like, oh, cool. Ooh, the kids would be like, oh my gosh, look at the lights and the water. And you're like, keep it together.
Don't cry.
Don't cry, don't cry. I very much would catch myself in moments like that where I'm like, Elena, you've been doing this for a year. Why are you still crying? Stop.
It
Stop.
happens. Every time I listen to that song, honestly, though, I find myself like tearing up.
It's just so calming. It's so hopeful. And even though the story is like crazy and out of this world, you could take anybody's story and stick it to that song, and it's personal immediately. It doesn't have to be about a girl looking for her three fathers, or looking for her father amongst three men. It can be anything, and that's what I would do sometimes. I would just take what I was experiencing or take what I was feeling of being in that moment and singing about having a dream, and I'm getting to live that dream. People can call Mamma Mia whatever they want, but it's a really smart musical and it's a beautiful musical, and there's somebody out there that connects with it. And that was me when I first saw it. I was like, I'm going to be in this show.
I wish I had seen it on Broadway.
Don't worry, I'm sure it'll be revived and I'll be old enough to be Donna.
I mean, I'm sure it will be revived. It's a no-brainer to revive that. But
I'd want to be Tanya. I actually would want to be Tanya. I don't think I want to just like dance around in hot outfits and seduce younger men for sure.
For sure. Dream role.
Dreams.
So I have to talk about Beautiful because I got to see you as Carole King in Beautiful.
When? On Broadway?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Did I meet you afterwards?
Yeah, I was with Amanda.
Oh my gosh, duh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, I recognize this girl, but I'm not positive. Did she see me as Sophie or did I meet her afterwards? That's wild.
Yes.
Was it my first show?
I'm not sure, but if it was your first show, I could not tell. And my whole my parents were there too. And we were like, wait, she's an understudy? She's so good.
That is what every understudy hopes for, because first of all, people sometimes usually don't read the program. They don't know. But to be able to defy what people believe about what an understudy is or what their value is, that is one of the best compliments that we can get, is just that like you blended in and you fit into the world and you made it your own. And it looked like it was something you did every night. That is the goal, even though that is not the experience that we get. We don't get to do it every night. I think I only did it on Broadway like 16 times in the year that I was there, which doesn't, maybe it seems like a lot. I don't know.
It seems like a lot, but I feel like when you like take into account the 8 shows a week.
Yeah, and the tour I had been on like 30. So, but tour is different. Tour is so many other factors. But that makes me feel so good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was a flawless performance, and I was like upset when I listened to the soundtrack at home. Like, don't get me wrong, the soundtrack's amazing, but I was upset when I listened to the soundtrack at home that I wasn't hearing like you and Kara on it.
It's different, like I really was thankful that when we did Beautiful, that they don't want you to sound or try to sound like Carole King or like Jessie Mueller. Like they're like, sing the way you sing from your guts. It might not sound great every night, but like Carole wasn't really a singer either. Like she was gravelly but it was about her essence and about the music, and to have that kind of freedom when down the street at Cher, they had to vocally impersonate Cher, which is iconic, and they did an amazing job. But then we at Beautiful, we just got to be ourselves in Carole's shoes, and I think that works better, at least for our show it did, because it's just more about her aura and not about the fact that she was none of us played piano, so we're all fake playing.
Yes, I saw.
And there's just, maybe they could have found somebody that could sing it and act it and play piano, but they were just like, that's not what's important. It's her story that's important. Yeah, what an honor. That was another show. All of the shows that I've done, I have at some point seen them and been like, I'm going to do that show. So another manifestation.
I was gonna say.
I know. I really need to start doing that more.
You speak it into existence.
I have a couple. I've said that. Yeah. I'm hopeful. Once Broadway comes back, if those shows are still running, I will have my time.
Yes, yes. It's it's funny because when you mentioned that you all don't play piano in the show,
Mhm.
how many times after a show do you hear people talking about like trying to figure out if
Oh
the
man.
person's playing piano on stage?
If it is someone doing that, then they also don't play piano because all the piano people that came to see the show were like, "Oh, obviously, yeah, you weren't playing." And I was like, "Oh, was it that obvious?" They were like, "Well, I just know." Like my chorus teacher came and said that, and I was like, "Crap, busted." Um, but everyone else, they don't know. So I'm just going along with it. We learn hand placement. We learn, which hand is doing most of the work, definitely where we're supposed to be, movements. But I don't know. Maybe Shalina might have been the only one that played, and Vanessa Carlton could play, but doesn't matter because that is a not sound piano. So just plunk away, do what you will, because nobody's going to
Play whatever you want.
play whatever you want.
Before you got Beautiful, had you like been like a huge Carole King fan before?
I had been I had been singing Will You Still Love Me for auditions because I love that song. I always thought it was such a poignant kind of song and a song that I related to. My mom even sang that for auditions back in her days. I know, crazy, crazy, full circle. And so I knew that. And then I didn't know about Carole King until I saw Beautiful with Jessie Mueller and wept the entire time, just wept. And then that's when I went down the hole of Carole King and her stuff and her music and her interviews and I was in the middle of playing Sophie when I saw the show. So when I was auditioning for it initially, I had my tan skin and my blonde hair. I looked not really the part. Why I didn't get it the first couple times. Like I had to come in years later after Mamma Mia had closed with my pasty skin and my short frizzy hair that they were like,
Okay.
like I don't think I did anything differently except I looked totally different. And you sometimes have to just spoon feed this to the casting directors. If I walked in looking like Barbie, that's not gonna work.
You're like, okay,
They're
how do
like,
we
you
make
can leave.
this, how do we make this work?
Yeah, it's just not going to be as convincing as somebody who maybe sings exactly like me, but just looks immediately more like it. They're just going to be more on board for that. So it panned out. Just took probably 3 years from when I initially auditioned, but
But
it
it worked.
happened. I said it. I said I'm going to be in this show, and lo and behold.
And I'm glad the timing worked out the way it did again, so that I was lucky.
Wild. I would have never gotten to do this. And like, you're going to be a huge publicist in the future. And I'm going to be like, remember when you interviewed me? Will you represent me?
Duh, duh, of course. My webcam got out of focus there.
It was like too much drama for me.
Oh, it's like a really nice camera.
It's just not used to us. It will
It,
get there.
yeah, it's not used to all this. But uh, Kara was talking about meeting Carole King. Did you ever get to meet Carole King?
Oh my God, funny story. So up there is my tapestry album right there. And so she came to the 5 year anniversary and sang the last two songs with us, which was Bananas. It was Bananas. And so afterwards, she's surrounded by people and everyone wants to come up to her. All these people who I'm like, who are you guys even in the show? Like, and maybe they were producers. I don't know. But I was just like in line and I had my album and I didn't want to take up a lot of her time. So I was just like, hi, my name is Elena. I play you sometimes. Thank you for your music, for everything you do. And she's like, oh, thank you. Very humble, very, she doesn't like to be the center of attention, but she knows that she is.
Yeah.
And so I was like, will you sign my album? She said, yeah, sure. How do you spell your name? And I said, E-L-E. And she started writing out P-L-E. And I was like, N-A. Perfect. Thank you so much. I am not gonna correct Carole King. I'm not gonna have her cross out on my album a P. I'm just like, say it. It's fine. So my album says to Plana, love Carole King.
You're like, this is my prized possession.
Yep. My name's Plana. Just change it. I don't
I
need
legally change it now?
No, I'm ready to legally change it because of her. So that is how I met her. She also does approve our tapes. So she knew in order for me to play her, she watches the tapes to just kind of give a thumbs up. So she has seen me sort of do Carol, kind of, to
Hey,
be like, hey, I don't mind this girl playing me. So I'll
yeah,
take that.
like she'd be good.
They literally, when I got, they, before they make the offer, they're like, hey, everyone loves you. We're just waiting to get the thumbs up from Carol. And I was like, come again? She's going to watch my video?
You're like, Carol who?
What? What? So I'm waiting all weekend, being like, she hates me. She hates me. She's never going to pick me. And then it's fine. Then you get it.
Like, it has to be a different Carol, right?
I don't know if she doesn't seem like the kind of person that would turn anybody down. I feel like she sees the best in everybody. But you never know. I just wasn't sure. She could have really hated my voice, and you never know. Thank God she didn't.
And I feel like this is a hard question, but what was your favorite Carole King song to sing when you got to go on as her?
Will You Still Love Me?
Okay.
Because again, I'm a huge fan of a good song that doesn't need to vocally show any kind of acrobatics.
Yeah.
Those lyrics and just the melody of that song and starting it when you start those first chords, 99% of the time the audience would go because they love this song. Everyone has this like story or this moment of when they heard the song for the first time or when the song meant something to them. And it took everything in my power not to be like, wait, just wait. We are just getting started. Oh, that's my sister. No worries. And she's good. She'll survive.
I was like, wait.
And I loved being able to sing it because I could just sing it and not be worried about vocals. And that's just rare in musical theater, in any show, because it's so much about what your vocal gymnastics can be, the riffs you can do, the high notes you can hold. And that's all great and that's exciting. But to just have it be about the song and to see people in the audience just like swaying and yeah, I would sing that song. I'm gonna sing that song like for the rest of my life. I love it. Yeah.
Yes. And okay, let's manifest more roles. What's your dream role to play that you haven't played yet?
Currently on Broadway or
Anything.
okay, I'm gonna put two things out there. One thing hasn't come to fruition yet. It's gonna be like Hunger Games the musical.
Ooh.
Like something where I can use my like physical nature and like go, but maybe I don't need to be tumbling, but like something where I can like use the athleticism that I have and sing. That sounds like something fun. Like I don't know if Hunger Games is the role, but I just want to play a badass, strong, belting woman of a post-apocalyptic time. I don't know. Something like that.
Amazing as a musical. I feel like they could do it.
Yeah. And I also this is beyond manifesting. This is not going to happen, but in my world, I want to play Aaron Burr so bad.
Okay.
I know, it's a reach. It's a reach for many reasons. But I dream roles. That's Aaron Burr or Eliza, one of those. One of them's a little bit more likely than the other, but still hard.
Yes. Yes. Still hard.
Still
if you
hard.
could make a jukebox musical for any singer, which singer would it be?
Jukebox for any singer. What about? Do you have one? Maybe yours will inspire me.
I don't know if they would work. Like obviously, I feel like Taylor Swift is an obvious one to
That
eventually
would be
do.
fun. That would be fun. I would love a jukebox musical of like Ava Cassidy. I don't know if you listen to her, but
Okay.
talk about just like beautiful, smooth, creamy voices. Like all we need is a romance story, and you could put all of her music to that, and it would be beautiful. Very like Notebook style, but with Ava Cassidy music.
Ooh.
Ingrid Michaelson already took my idea. She's going to do it with the Notebook, but something with Ava Cassidy would be kind of cool. I'm
I'm so
going to think of another singer like tonight, and I'm going to text you and be like, no, I actually mean this.
yes, I'll put it in the description.
I actually mean this. I just can't think of it right now.
I'll be like, actually, the jukebox music
Correction.
is correction.
I seem to have a knack for those, so
Yeah,
hopefully there's more of them coming up in the new Broadway, whatever that looks like.
hopefully ASAP. So, speaking of, how do you think Broadway is going to be different when it is able to come back? And how do you do you think virtual theater will stick around?
I hope that in the future that they from now on record shows and make them accessible to people. Um, I know they record them for the Lincoln Center
Okay.
for the library, but they're not super accessible. I don't know how they're filmed. I've never actually watched one through, so I just feel like every show should get like a Hamilton style production of like video of the show. I just think everything should be encapsulated and shot like that. That's how theater should be shot for sure. Um, and I think, and I've said this before, I think Broadway is going to be even brighter because not that anybody on Broadway was tired or not putting in effort, but something about all of us having this space and this time to be like, oh my God, I miss my job. I miss doing this show. We're all going to come back and just have this new level of gratitude and this new level of appreciation. And I just think all the shows are going to look and feel so much better because we've all just been renewed and rested, and our voices are, healed, and our bodies are healed. So everything's just going to look and feel amazing. I think audiences are in for like a just even more polished, more energized Broadway. We're just rested.
I've been saying this whole quarantine period, when Broadway and tours come back, like I need to create duplicate myself, because I have 3 tours I need to go see, and I want to be in New York at the same time. So let's
Good
not go.
luck, man. Yeah. We could actually go the total opposite way. I'm curious as to because your voice is a muscle, like if you don't work it all the time, I'm gonna have to start warming up before I start to go back to things because it's chilled out a little too long. It's like the quarantine 15 for your chords. They've been resting, and they're like, what? We have to work now? What?
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, you gotta get it back. We'll figure it out. But for now, I know that we have a long time before that happens. And so I'm just trying to stay busy in other things, being a human.
And speaking of that, is there anything, lastly, is there anything that you'd want to promote that you're doing, whether it's theater related or not?
I teach privately. You can find stuff on my website, www.elenaricardo.com. I teach with Broadway Plus, which a lot of actors right now are doing. And then I'm also a trampoline cardio instructor. So if you are looking for a new way to work out, a fun way to stay in your home safely, but still just work your butt off and on a soft surface. I'm literally sitting on my trampoline right now.
Yes.
I'm starting a new company called Bounce by Elena. And I have tons of videos, every level from basic all the way to advanced, weightlifting. You do it all and you get to bounce, and it's so much easier on your joints. It's a random thing, but I swear to God, if you invest in a trampoline, you will never have to run outside ever again. And it's about to get cold outside, so you're going to want to find a way to bring it inside.
Yeah,
so bouncebyelena.com, check it out.
Yes, I'm so interested in that. I actually have a trampoline in my backyard, so I'd still be cold if it gets cold in Texas in the winter, but
Those big trampolines are hard too. It's the mini ones that are nice and tight so you
yeah.
can do, and we learn like you learn a routine. It's kind of like a dance call, but on a trampoline.
Yes. And
Yeah, so
I'll put the links to like where people can contact you for any classes or anything
sweet.
in the description of this.
That's
Uh,
great.
where can people follow you on social media?
I am strictly an Instagram girl, so you can do EBA Ricardo because my middle name is Beatrice. Fun fact. So
Love it.
EBA Ricardo, Beatrice Anna. That's the BA. And that's it. And Facebook, you can find me too, Elena Ricardo. I'm not nearly as cool on there. I'm not really cool in general, but if you
Any
want,
lies?
huh?
You're cool.
Maybe, but EBA Ricardo is probably the best way to reach me or my website. And I would love to, if your friends and your followers and your viewers are anything like you, we're good. Reach out.
Yes. Well, thank you for talking to me on this. And I mean, don't doubt that you're cool. You're cool. I'm
Thanks,
just
girl.
saying.
I
I'm just
appreciate it. This is so fun. You're so sweet. And I'm going to be watching all your episodes. So thanks for the material.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.